Please help me give big smooches to my friend, Erika Ettin.
Thank you so much for having me. I missed you.
Well, I missed you too, but you've been busy blowing up on Instagram. So I was like, can I send her a DM? Is it going to go through?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, I answer my DMs. So especially when your name pops up.
Oh, bless your heart. Look, y'all, if you don't, first of all, follow Erika on Instagram, and you will know why when we get to the end of this interview and you hear all of her amazing advice. But I just have to say, Erika, there's only a handful of people. You and I have been in the game for a minute, like over
a long time. Yes.
I've been writing dating profiles for 17 years, like before it was a thing. And I know we've known each other for over a decade.
A long time. I started my business, I guess, 12 and a half years ago, which sometimes you think about it and you're like, how? Why? You know, like, I can't believe that much time has passed.
Let's pause on that for a minute. Why?
Why?
No, really. Why? Like, why did you start doing this?
So, I mean, I don't know if you know my background, actually. So my background's in economics. I used to work in finance, but I was a really early adopter of online dating. I started in a year that most people did not do online dating. And because of my background in economics, I started tracking my own results in a spreadsheet because I'm cool like that. So, you know, I initially started tracking it. You remember when you had to use usernames on like OkCupid or any of the sites, like, you know, Fun Gal New York, whatever. I started the spreadsheet so I didn't accidentally write to the same person twice. But then I was like, I can measure things in here. What's my response rate? You know, what percentage of people write back to me? What percent can I convert into a date? And I learned a lot from doing that. And I made a lot of tweaks. And then my friends started asking me for help. Like, what are you doing that I'm not? Write my profile. And that's how I had the idea. Maybe I could do this as a business. Maybe I can help people professionally with their online dating because there was a need there. People want to meet someone, but either they don't know how or they have tried and it's not working. And my thing is like, I don't care whether you do online dating or not, but if you do, I want to make sure you do it as efficiently and successfully as possible.
I do remember that you were tracking, and you kind of led the way in that. I started out writing dating profiles because I saw the need similarly. But I added the tracking part into my process a little bit later down the road because it was like, if you're not really taking stock of these things, like I track when you change out your primary photo, do you get more responses? Do you get a different quality of message? We really get granular about how these actions that you take online actually impact your dating experience. And I feel like nobody other than you and I before it's a very rare thing to track that on your own. So I now see why our businesses have grown so much over the years, because this is something that is really a blind spot for a lot of people.
I think so too. And I think a lot of people think of their online dating profile as being static. I write it once, I put the pictures up here once, I never look at it again. I mean, we all know people who have forgotten what they wrote in their profile. Someone once, a client of mine, wrote to someone, oh, tell me about your cute dog. What's his name? Whatever, very innocuous. And the person goes, oh my God, how do you know I have a dog? Are you stalking me? And she's like, see your fourth picture.
I thought you were going to say the dog was dead.
People, right? Well,
he is now.
Could have easily been because, well, don't even get me started with the dog pictures of like.
Wait, no, I do want to get you started. What about the dog pictures?
Oh my God. Well, don't post pictures of dogs without you in it. I don't care, because often someone will write like, oh, cute dog, you know, tell me how old, whatever. And they'll be like, oh, it's my neighbor's friend's cousin's dog that I met once at the beach. It's like, no. You're using this dog.
People used to do that with children too. Like, let's grab a child. It's just online dating bait.
Exactly. And so if you have a dog, that's great. Just pose with your dog.
One pic, though.
No big deal. Yeah, one picture of your dog. But anyway, so the point is that your profile is not static and you should be updating it. And you should, every time you get a cute new picture, take a look. Is this better than a picture I already have? If you do something interesting, you traveled somewhere, maybe it's worth adding that to the profile. This is a dynamic process.
Yeah, I say the profile is a living document. And so you're
I love
continuing
that.
to live, so your profile should live along with you. But
Very well said. I really like that.
there's so many things I could talk to you about today. I think because we have the master of dating profile creation here, I've got to at least get your profile tips. My audience has heard ad nauseum about my 3 C's of like color, context, character. We have to color is strategic to stand out, context to tell your story through your photos, character is to like show your personality. Do you have like a rubric? Do you have guidelines for choosing the right profile pics and then also writing the bio? I feel like that's tripped a lot of people up especially as the bios have gotten shorter, it's almost gotten harder.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any cute alliteration. I really like that. But for the pictures, I'll just say in words, I recommend 5 pictures. The only one that requires a certain number of
Hinge.
pictures is Hinge, which requires 6, and that's fine. But for every other site, just because they leave a slot there does not mean you have to fill that slot. I like the number 5 because 5 gives you a chance to show people what you look like, who you are, but not too much information because we all know we're programmed to find one picture we don't like and then not swipe on that person because of it or swipe left. I also recommend for that reason, never connecting your Instagram. A lot of the sites allow you to connect your Instagram. Too much information. Less is more. Let someone earn the right to see your personal life. I mean, I've had clients before. I mean, their Instagrams are a little cheeky, I'll just say, for lack of better words. And it's like, they haven't earned that spot in your life yet, so don't show them all of these intimate things about you.
And it's taken in out of context is the other thing. Like once you
Correct.
send someone to your Instagram, they're going to look at that inside joke that you made to your high school best friend. They're not going to understand it and they'll read it differently. And then it becomes a pass and you've completely lost the narrative.
It's just too much information. Exactly. And so for the 5 pictures, I recommend 1, a nice clear shot of your face. 2, a full body. 3, you doing something interesting that provides what I call message bait. Basically, someone can ask you a question about it. What are you doing there? Where was that? They feel brilliant because they've asked you a relevant question, but really, you are the brilliant one because you planted it there for them. And then just 2 other pictures of you in your element. People get a little too in their heads about what picture should I post. They overthink. The reality of it is, all people want to see is who's going to show up on the date. They just want an accurate representation of the person who is going to walk in the door. That's it. They don't want to see the farm you grew up on. They don't want to see the pyramid. Yes, it's cool. You've been somewhere interesting with a pyramid. That's great. But the pyramid's not walking into the bar. And so we should, that's funny. I've never said that out loud before. But it's funny. But people just want to see who you are. A lot of people think, especially women, I need to show I have friends. You don't need to show you have friends. It's fine if you want to crop your friends out, but here's where it gets tricky. Yeah, well, it's just like,
is that?
You don't want to be, you're already being compared to other people on the site. I don't want you to be compared to your own friends. Also, most people are not taking the time, just as you're not taking the time to figure out, wait a minute, is it the person's profile who's 8th from the left? Probably not. And so I just want to make sure people can tell who you are and what you look like.
See, we're speaking the same language. We're just using different terms. But you used a term a second ago, message bait. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so every profile should have something that someone can ask a question about or comment on. And that's what I call message bait. So essentially, you're telling them what to ask you. And I recommend that for both a picture and for the content of the profile. Every word in the profile should have a point. I took a stand-up comedy class once. I was not very good. But
I don't believe that. I'm sure you were very funny.
Thank you. I'm funny when no one expects me to be funny. When you expect me to be funny, it's too much pressure. Anyway, I want the funny to be an added bonus. So, but the point is, in a 5-minute set, for example, you should not have any filler. Every word in your set should be relevant to what you're trying to say. And that's also true for online dating. There's a lot of people put a bunch of generic words in their profile, and it doesn't really add any value. And so for a Bumble profile, for example, you just get your little bio and then you have the option for a few prompts. For the bio, I want that to be unequivocally you. If you can say the same bio as the stranger walking down the street, it's not specific enough. Everyone says they like to laugh. Everyone says they're looking for, whatever, their partner in crime, blah, blah. And it's like, everyone likes food. What does that give us, And so I try to get things out of clients. I try to ask them fun questions that make them think a little bit. So like, for example, I might ask where you're from. I might ask, like, what's your favorite snack?
Oh, popcorn.
Okay, popcorn. Are we talking like butter or kettle corn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just asking.
Movie theater popcorn. Totally.
Movie theater popcorn. Love it. Are you originally from LA?
No, I'm from Michigan.
Oh, okay. And then let's ask another one. Do you drink socially?
Socially speaking, yes.
Okay. Is there anything you enjoy particularly?
I am like a basic bitch Chardonnay kind of gal.
Love it.
I love it. Oaky, buttery, Napa, Sonoma Chardonnay.
I love that. And let's say I didn't know you were you, and let's say your favorite podcast is obviously Dates and Mates. So now I have learned a lot of information about you. So I might write as your Bumble profile, like Michigan by birth, LA by choice, give me some buttered popcorn and Chardonnay, and I'm a happy gal, whatever. Add to that and then fill in the blank, my favorite podcast and, something else. And that's a really good profile because I couldn't have written that about myself. I prefer, a pita chip, whatever. It doesn't matter. So the point is, it doesn't have to get to the core of your being. In fact, it shouldn't, because that's what somebody learns when they get to know you. It should just be a few tidbits about yourself that make you you.
I so agree with you. And I talk about also like using passion words because I'm just done. There's just too much noise out here. There are too many things that are trying to pull our attention away. That what you just did was brilliant, Erika. That was like the perfect demo of just cutting into the specifics right away. And I think people feel like, well, I got to put everything like, don't even message me if, don't contact me if, or like, I need it. I need a relationship who is this, or like, they're just putting everything out there, and it's got to be curated, like you were saying.
It has to be curated. It also needs to be positive. And so I really dislike the prompts that say you should not go out with me if, or swipe left if. Those are terrible because they lend themselves to really negative language. And so, no, put in your profile what you are looking for, not what you're not. Also, mainly write about yourself, not the person you're looking for, because ultimately, who doesn't think they're all of the wonderful things? Like, who's going to read your profile and be like, yeah, they want someone funny and smart and loyal. Well, I'm that. We're perfect. Well, no. I mean, who doesn't? I don't know any single person in the world who doesn't think they're funny. And so it doesn't really add value. The other thing I would avoid is what I call empty adjectives, which is those same things. Like, we could say anything about ourselves. I'm spontaneous, for example. My spontaneous might mean that I book a trip tomorrow, whereas your spontaneous might mean that you drove a new route to work yesterday, whereas someone else's spontaneous might mean that they like tried a new kind of sushi. And so those words don't actually mean anything because they're so subjective. I would rather read, I'm a spicy, crunchy tuna girl, but on Tuesdays I prefer crab. I don't know. I'm making things up, but the specifics really help.
Okay, so let's say we're on the dating app. We have a successful profile that's bringing in the matches, and then we get into the conversation. And I find, Erika, like the biggest thing that I think has shifted since we began doing this work is now that the profiles have gotten shorter and shorter, you have to do more what I call screening in the messages. Like I used to hate, I'd be like three messages back and forth and set a date. Like that's it. Because you had much more information to go on in the profile, but not so much today. I feel like it's necessary to have some banter, but not too much. And I know you talk about this a lot on Instagram. You get a lot of DMs about this that you do videos about. Um, let's talk about some best practices for that messaging phase. I saw one amazing post that you did about text speak. Can you define for everybody what text speak is and what the positives and negatives may be?
Text speak is just the abbreviations when you don't write things out. The letters UR for your, HBU, how about you, things like that. Just writing you for you. I have found that when somebody uses text speak, you or the other person, it automatically makes the conversation more casual. And more casual for a lot of people means it might veer into the sexual sometimes in a way that is just not appropriate or too soon. And so I really recommend writing in complete sentences, using punctuation and grammar. And you might say, but it's only texting. But it's also your only first impression that you get. And so given that you get one first impression and people are only judging you based on how you write, I would write in a way that represents your intelligence and represents what kind of interaction you want with someone. The more casual you write, the more casual the interaction you get. And I don't think people think that through sometimes. They're just thinking, oh, I'm racing through this in the middle of the day. Don't answer people in the middle of the day if you're racing through it. Wait till you have an extra few seconds to write something more thoughtful. All the time, people write these quick responses that just make the conversations go nowhere. I don't know if this is PC to say, but I assume the word diet is fine. I don't know. I put people on a how are you?
Canceled.
I put people on I call it a how are you diet, or like a how's your day diet, how's it going diet. They're no longer allowed to say those expressions. You can't open with ever, how's your day? How's your weekend? How's it going? How are you? Why? Those seem like innocuous questions that you should ask. No, because they always lend themselves to, it's fine. It's good. I'm working.
How about you?
I'm tired. Doing laundry. I'm relaxing. That tells me nothing about, I don't even ask my friends how their day is going. Like I ask them an actual question when I have I don't just text friends every morning. How are you? How's it go? So why would you do that with a stranger?
Hey, beautiful. I'm going to now text you that. Hey, beautiful. How's your day? I'm kidding. No. I can do better than that. I have so much more that I want to talk to you about because now I'm thinking about, well, we're good at texting and our clients are getting good at texting. And also like the difference between texting and messaging within the app, there's a whole conversation there. But not everyone you're going to meet is going to approach you with that same level of sophistication in their texting. So we have to take a quick break. But when we come back, I really want to do a deep dive with you on this messaging and both how to message effectively, but also how to respond. All right, before the break, Erika, we were talking about messaging, and now everyone listening to this podcast is an absolute expert at how to message effectively. But what happens when you get caught up and you get a message from somebody, maybe you get something that's a little too sexual, or maybe you're getting text speak from them? Is there any way to turn that around?
I would actually say no, which might go against what you think I'm going to say. Like, sure, I could tell you to say, that makes me feel uncomfortable. You could. But if someone comes out the gate being sexual, that's who they are. And they have shown you that immediately. And if that's not what you're looking for, I would say let it go. I do want to take a step back for a sec because we've told people what not to say in the first message, but not what to say. And so I always just recommend picking up on something in the profile. Hopefully they have some message bait and asking them a question about it. It doesn't have to be, rocket science or anything. I mean, humor does go a long way. A client of mine sends me screenshots that he wants help writing messages to women. And here are a few of the ones I helped him write as first message. She wrote something about traveling, and I said, You can definitely have the window seat as long as we're going somewhere amazing. I'm thinking Hawaii. That's a cute first message. Someone else wrote she likes Thai food. Where's the best pad Thai in the city? Asking for me. Let's see. Someone else said she likes fries. Curly fries versus waffle fries, question mark. I mean, that's a simple one.
That's a this or that. That's one of my hooks. Just a this or that question.
Love that. Sounds like you would be good to have at trivia night. What's your best category? Do I spy a different spelling of humor? Where are you from? How did you get into country music? Do you own the boots too? Do you answer in the form of a question even when you watch Jeopardy at home? And so it's picking up on something in the other person's profile. Sending those messages, he's already ahead of 90% of the other men.
Totally. And then it's also like what I hear from people, though, Erika, when I suggest something similar, like I say comment plus question, just make it simple for yourself. But a formula, right? A formula that you can repeat, but you can customize. And then I'm just going to be devil's advocate because it's what I hear from my male clients. They'll say, oh, but doesn't that take so much more work?
Yeah, good. It should.
Go on.
Isn't choosing a person you want to be with, like, shouldn't that take work? If you're searching for a job, are you just going to, like, throw together a crummy resume and then just, like, maybe send it out and then just, like, wear sloppy things to an interview? No.
Do like a hang loose emoji on Hinge and that's it. I'm like, I had a client that did that. He just would be like, thumbs up, because you have to say something specific on Hinge. And I was like, we can do better. Like, I know you have dating options and you're attractive and people respond to you, but like then he would be all disappointed by the matches he would get because they'd be very surface level. And it's like, well, you started the conversation on a surface level. What did you expect to happen?
Exactly. It baffles me that people think it shouldn't take time, energy, and sometimes money to meet maybe the most important person in their life. And so, yeah, it will take work. I think you should do the work. On Hinge, you can either like someone's profile or write a message. I make all of my clients write a message to every single person. I also recommend paying for certain sites or apps if you want to upgrade. I mean, walking out your door in New York, you've already somehow spent $50, right? So why not spend that on Hinge for a month if you get better options or you get to use filters that you couldn't have otherwise, or it gives you a better chance? I mean, everyone's buying coffee every morning. You buy 5 coffees, that's the price of Hinge for a month. It's nothing in the scheme of life.
It will save you money. That's the other thing. Like, you know, when people are considering whether to invest in coaching with me, I kind of compare it to how much time and money have you wasted on bad dates? Like, what is it worth to you to be able to streamline that process, right?
Yes. And I've said to people before, when they say what you said, which is like, what someone has said to you, like, oh, it takes so much time. Let's say you do meet someone and someone says, well, how did you meet? What was the first message? And you're like, well, didn't want to waste my time, so I sent her a thumbs up. Like, is that the story you want to tell people?
Can I tell you a great story? My husband is a writer. I went on this website back in the golden era of dating, of online dating, where you and I started. And it was called Nerve.com. Yes. And I went on it because my friend was like, oh, it's where kind of like the artsy, you know, intellectual writer types are. And I was like, oh, I would like to meet an artsy intellectual writer type. So fast forward a month or two, I end up getting a message from this guy who is an artsy writer type. And of course, I took one look at his profile and his message, and I was like, I have so many rules that I threw out the window. And he, as a writer, spent 3 days, Erika, crafting his first message to me. And I decided in literally 30 seconds that I was going out with him. I had all these rules about follow up before the day. I like immediately saw his profile. I was like, we're going out.
I love that though.
I'm like, where have you been? I think I said, where have you been? I lost all my chill. And then, you know, the rest is history. But he really took time. Like, he had his roommates read it. He took the time to craft that first message. And I mean, I think I probably would have gone out with him anyway because he'd taken time to craft a really great profile, and he's cute. But it was also the fact that he was so careful with his words in that initial.
Yes, it's worth the time, because even if you were the only person who answered, clearly it was worth it. It's always worth putting that extra time in if you want results.
Yeah. I don't know. You have to ask him now if it was worth it.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
just kidding.
I mean, I used to work in finance. They say with data, garbage in, garbage out. You put in bad data, you get bad results. It's the same thing.
That's good. I like that one. Okay, we have so much more to get through here because I want to give all the juice to people, and then they should be following you on Instagram to get even more because you have new content all the time. You have certain scripts as we're talking about messaging. Give me a couple of the scripts that you should have in your online dating arsenal and when you should use them.
Yeah, one of the things a lot of my followers and clients like is I have scripts or templates to use in certain situations. They should always be tailored to your needs. You don't need to use them verbatim, but sometimes they help with, if you don't have the words to say what you're trying to say, they can get you started. So for example, the one people use the most is if, there's a first date you go on, the other person wants to see you again, you have zero interest in seeing that other person again, and you're 100% sure. The script is, thank you so much for a nice time the other night. Unfortunately, I just didn't feel the connection I'm looking for, but I wish you nothing but the best. It's tactful, it's kind, it's honest. The person at the other end might be disappointed that you don't feel a certain way, but they can't really be angry with you.
I 100% agree. I believe in closing the loop. I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I literally just heard this story today from a former client who's now married to somebody that she met online. Yay for love. And she was saying that there was a guy she sent that message to, and he responded with a lot of anger and vitriol.
Yeah.
And he was like, how dare you assume, you're so arrogant to assume that I wanted to see you again. What do we say? What?
That speaks volumes about him, and it only validates that she was right not to see him again. Look, you're going to get a percentage of extremely insecure people who need to have the last word, but that doesn't mean you should change your kind behavior because of it. But yes, I hear stories like that too, but I'm never going to change the advice I give based on a few bad seeds.
That kind of relates to a post you recently did about recency bias.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you have that experience, and then a lot of times people will be like, well, see, people online are jerks, and so I shouldn't even be online dating. Close the app.
Yeah, that's a huge frustration for me, and I'm sure for you too. Just working with people in general, where they seem to put the most weight on the last thing that has happened. And so they go on a bad date and they'll be like, I'm quitting the apps. My dating life is in the tubes. And it's like, no, you've also been on good dates. They were just last week, not yesterday or 2 months ago. And same thing with, if that person who you just mentioned got that terrible response to a kind rejection she sent, she might be gun shy. She might not want to send that kind rejection next time. But remember, just because that's the most recent thing that happens doesn't mean that's the most common thing that happens. Doesn't mean that it will repeat itself. So we just need to remember that dating is a cumulative process. You're going to have some good and you're going to have some bad, but your whole dating life is not just as good or as bad as your most recent experience.
That's a really good framing for that. And I would add to it that we also have this confirmation bias because I think a lot of people are on dating apps sort of begrudgingly. Like, I loved online dating, Erika. I
think it's wonderful. I mean, but you love meeting new people. I love meeting new people. A lot of people look at it as a means to an end. I think it could be the most fun part of the process. Like getting to know someone new and those butterflies in that early stage. That's amazing. Don't short yourself that experience.
I think that's one of the things, honestly, Erika, that has kept me in this business as long as I've been. I love that phase, and I love going through it with my clients and capturing that magic and that unfolding of what can be and possibility. I find it very exciting. And I know it's not exciting for everyone, but it's like if we can give you all 10% of our excitement for this process, it will work wonders for just your dating outlook. And the outlook really matters because if you're already going in like, oh, the guys online suck, and then you get a message like that, you're like, that's your confirmation bias. That confirms, oh, like, see, all the guys online suck. I just proved it.
Absolutely. It's like selective hearing. You don't hear anything, but someone says your name, you hear it. It's like we hear what we want to, we read what we want to. In statistics, you could have the same data and draw 20 different conclusions just based on how you slice and dice it. It's the exact same thing. And it is frustrating.
There's so much I want to talk about. We gave everybody one script. I want to give one more.
So it's not a script per se, but it's something I use every day in life. It's not just for dating, it's for life. It's knowing when to say, I can't tell. There are so many things that people say that get misconstrued, either over text or in person. Let's say you go on a good date and someone's been texting you every day, but they haven't asked you out again. Using I can't tell is so helpful. I can't tell from our texts if you're looking to go out again. I say to people every day, because I don't pick up on sarcasm, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. Usually they are. I didn't get it. So it's asking for clarification. And I think sometimes people are afraid to ask for clarification, but using I can't tell is so helpful in life. Like, it's okay if we don't understand stuff, because usually if we don't understand it, other people don't understand it. So if you say to someone, I can't tell if you were looking to go out again based on our texts, they have to tell you if they want to go out again at that point. If the answer is yes, great, you go on another date. If the answer is, I don't have time to date right now, good. Now you know.
I think it's important to name what we're feeling too. And especially when you're communicating with somebody prior to the date or like after one date, you don't really know their sense of humor. You don't know how to read it. I would say the other thing that has changed so much globally about online dating since we started in the game is texting. Like, people want to blame dating apps, but I feel like texting really changed how we communicate. And it also changed the trajectory of how a connection moves to a date. And I know you have some guidelines for people around how to make sure. There's just like a total ghosting epidemic happening. I am seeing it. It's worse than it's ever been before. We got to stop it. How can we stop it, Erika?
I could put a banner in the sky and it still wouldn't stop people. People hide behind their screens. It's extremely frustrating. I do have some pretty opinionated feelings about how to set up the date. And so I want your conversion rate to be as high as possible between you're having a conversation on a dating app that you like, you want to meet this person, and then you actually going on the date. So my recommendation, and other dating coaches disagree, and that's okay, that's why we're here talking, is to set up the entire date through the dating app. Far too many people say, oh, it's annoying to check the app, let's text. Or, oh, the app is buggy. No, it's not. Let's text. Just schedule the date within the app, okay? Then, if you want to exchange numbers, you do it one day before and you use these words. In case you need to reach me tomorrow for anything, my number is X. What's yours? That way, it's not saying, please text me all day and night and blow up my phone and ask how I'm doing tonight. It's saying, this is for contingencies, and it works like a charm. Because that way, you have everything set up, and that's it. Also, I like to use the words, it's a date. I love saying it's a date when the date is arranged via the app. You have all of the time, date, location. It's a date. It's not a hangout. It's not a meetup. It's a date. You have an intention. It's a romantic intention. And that is a confirmation right there. We have planned it. We've done it. Signed, sealed, delivered. Let's meet.
Okay, I hope everyone was taking notes, because I am not going to disagree with you whatsoever. I say also stay inside the app for as long as possible for safety.
Yeah,
I've talked about this before too. Like, you know, I'm sure you and I both watched the Tinder Swindler, like with our notepads out. I was like, oh, that, that. He moved everyone off the app as soon as possible to WhatsApp, the scammiest of the scammy communication. And I get, like, in different countries, people use it differently, but it's also most used by scammers to communicate across country boundaries. And to me, like, that was a huge red flag.
Huge red flag. And so, again, this is not statistically significant. However, the number I have observed is 60% of dates no longer happen if you exchange numbers before you have actually set the time, date, and location of the date. Why is that? Because inevitably someone just won't text, or there's no more urgency to set up the date. They'll just be like, good morning, good night, how's your day? Or because there's a sense of intimacy, sometimes a false sense of intimacy when you're texting someone's going to say something that is inappropriate. And you might say, well, I want to know that if they're going to do that. We're not testing people. We're not setting people up to fail. I just want you to go on a date and see if you like each other.
Yes. Cosign everything we heard today. Cosign.
Thank you.
Y'all, thank you so much for being here, Erika. This was so valuable.
Oh my goodness, I loved it. Oh, I'm so glad. I love that you and I started early. We're on the same page. I've always liked you. And well, now that this is a love fest, I guess that's all I have to say.
You're so wise. And we're in the game for a while, but I think the thing to remember is, as much as things have changed, a lot of the foundational things have stayed the same. Like, you and I feel like have had this similar conversation.
Yes.
Many times throughout the years.
Yes. The words might change around it. Like, maybe we didn't talk about ghosting 10 years ago, but we still talked about the concepts. Maybe we didn't talk about messaging in Bumble because it didn't exist prior to 2013, but we talked about the concepts. Yes, the language changes, the speed at which people want gratification has changed, but the concepts, how you communicate between two people, that has not changed.
Not one bit. Thank you for being here, Erika.
Thank you.